All right. MashaAllah, praying all night, MashaAllah. Advice to new Muslims. Assalamu alaikum again, Talib. It's nice to see you again, man, today. Same place, same time, part 2. And right now we're going to talk about, well, me and you are both, converts to Islam, or reverts to Islam. What we were born with, belief in one God. We came back to that later on in our life. So for someone who, let's say they just became Muslim, new brother, new sister, what kind of advice would you give them to set them on the path?
Yeah, I think the best advice, I think the number one advice that I could give to any Muslim in general, but especially new Muslims, is do not accept anything that somebody tells you about Islam without evidence. So
that's a very good point.
This is crucial because you have a lot of people when you're a new Muslim. They have good intentions and everybody wants to share in the reward. They want to teach you something
Everyone
about Islam.
Everyone wants a piece of the pie, man.
Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Man.
Exactly.
Sure.
They want to share something with you. They want to teach you something.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who were born Muslim, they grow up. They learned about Islam in their schools if they come from a Muslim country. They were raised in a Muslim country, or they learned from their parents.
Yeah.
And you would actually think that this is an advantage, but in reality, it's a detriment because they just kind of, as a kid, obviously you hear people telling you, older people, you hear people of authority telling you about your religion, about Islam.
That's the thing. When they get 20 years old and they're like, you should pray like this. Why should I pray like this? Well, my dad told me, right? Whether it's right or wrong, man, mom and dad told me, I'm going to do it, right?
Exactly. So when they hear about these things from their parents or in school, they don't question it, of course, because they're kids. So they soak it all up, take it all in, and whether the information is correct or not, and then they pass that on to other people. So just the best advice that I can give is just whoever tells you anything about Islam, make sure that it's the correct information. Always ask what is your proof, because everything in Islam is based on the Quran and the Sunnah, or the prophetic traditions of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Right.
So anybody who tells you something about Islam, it should come from one or two or both of these sources.
Exactly, that's true, man. And just to add a bit on that, of course, right? And that's the same thing. I mean, you ask, why are you doing this? And this is what my dad did and stuff. And this is the thing we don't really want in Islam. What we want are people who understand the evidence and they apply it. Or they understand the ruling and they can apply it to different situations. Not just, okay, I know a rule in Islam, I'm going to do that. Something new comes along, oh no, I can't figure it out because it requires me to think, right? Islam is not a religion you just blindly accept things for no reason without any evidence. And, that's certainly important, very important in new Muslims, and also those Muslims who have been raised up and now they're trying to find, let's say, they want to practice more in their life. And I've seen this a lot too, man. By the time they get, 17, 18 years old, man, if they weren't raised properly by their parents, they're going to be, trying to find the right way themselves. If they're trying to find the right way themselves. And when they do that, it's sometimes a difficult process for them. Because, if their parents are telling them when they're, 14, 15 years old, okay, now start wearing hijab when you go outside, right? Why, Dad? Oh, because, well, that's what we have to do, and you're going to do it, or you're not going to live here anymore. And I'm like, come on, man. Did you tell them anything about Islam when they were little children? Did you play with them? Were you nice to them? Were you kind to them? Why are they going to listen to you now when they're 14, 15 years old and they're in school? It's like, pray or I'm going to beat you. Well, why are you going to beat your kids, man? You never taught them anything when they were little, to show them that they should love prayer and they find peace in it, and they see their father and their mother at home praying together and stuff. And subhanAllah, man.
Yeah, so, I think that, just touching on something that you said a bit earlier, that is, you have to know what you're doing before you do it. Like, there's the famous saying in Islam, I think it may have been from Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, that knowledge precedes actions and deeds. And this comes from, there's evidence from the Quran, from an ayah in Quran that I forget right now, but knowledge always precedes actions and deeds, because you can't do something, you can't pray if you don't know how to pray.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't even be praying if you don't know why you're praying.
Yeah,
so for the new Muslim, obviously, first and foremost, the most important thing is to know Allah, know who Allah is, to know Allah's names and attributes, to know, as I said, who Allah is and who He isn't, to know where He is and where He isn't.
Well, this is the thing, exactly, right?
So this is the most important thing, and then next is prayer, and so forth and so on. So you should always just try to gain the knowledge.
Well, this is the thing, know your priorities too. You just became Muslim, you're like, okay, it's a sea of stuff I've got to look at here, but do you really, you're like, okay, someone's like, you got to pray 5 times a day, do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you got to fast and Ramadan, all this other stuff. first understand the basic creed of Islam and proper aqidah, the proper creed of Islam. Know that, there is no one to worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is his final messenger and prophet. And now, there are some Christians that are like, okay, well, we know Jesus is the prophet, but we make fun of him. As Muslims, if we make fun of the Prophet Muhammad, or any prophet for that matter, it's basically tantamount to disbelief. It's the same as disbelieving. Because this is the one who Allah sent, who God sent to guide us to the truth. And we're going to make fun of this person? How is that? How is that, right? So we got to be serious about religion. We got to be serious about really finding our way, because there are some people who convert to Islam, they become Muslim, and they like to hang around guys or girls because they're close to their friends. But after that, you say, okay, brother, okay, sister, let's go to this session of knowledge. The sheikh or the woman professor's teaching a lesson about Allah, and who Allah is, and why we should worship Him, and how we find peace in our heart, and how we get rid of this hypocrisy in our heart, or how we get rid of diseases in our heart that when I leave Talib I start talking about him behind his back. Why? Because I've got some problem with my heart in my faith, right? So we should always try and go with into circles of learning, using with the professors giving authentic evidence, giving the Quran, the Sunnah, and the proofs. And alhamdulillah, man, this is a very basic thing. We wanted to tell new Muslims this stuff, and if you're anything else you wanted to add, Thought,
yeah, I just wanted to elaborate one more thing, like you're saying, going to the circles of learning and knowledge, exactly, with the mashayikh.
Yeah.
This is something also for a new Muslim, because one of the advantages or benefits that somebody who was born a Muslim, raised a Muslim, I should say, has over somebody who reverted to Islam, is that they do have a basis of knowledge to start with, whether it's good or not. So as a new Muslim, you don't know, you barely know anything at all. Yeah. They always say that nobody accepts Islam without knowing something about Tawheed, about the
oneness of God,
the oneness of Allah. Exactly. So nobody in general, nobody accepts Islam thinking some of these fundamental misconceptions. Most people they know at least something. Exactly. They know at least something about Tawheed. So the new Muslims should start there and build their knowledge, and you really have to be active and go seek knowledge and find somebody who's trustworthy, find somebody who's a practicing Muslim, and ask them, of course, as I said, always, no matter who they are, ask them for their evidence, and you have to have kind of a game plan, because there's so many areas of Islam. Islam is deep, mashallah, like the ocean behind us. It's deeper than that. You can spend your whole life studying Islam. You can spend your whole life studying the Quran itself, getting a PhD in the Quran, and you're never going to unlock all its mysteries or secrets or treasures. Exactly. So the same thing for Islam. So any new Muslim, I think they need to have a game plan to learning about Islam, because there's so many areas they have to learn about Aqidah, about fiqh, about basic
creed, about the laws. Exactly, right?
About all these things. So they need to study the Quran, they need to study the Hadith, they need to study all these things. So you need to really try to be well-rounded in
that's true, man.
knowledge.
And just before we close here, good company. Set yourself up with some good practicing brothers and sisters. If you're a new sister and you start hanging around brothers who are smoking and drinking and they're hanging around women and stuff, forget it. Leave them immediately as soon as you can, because they're going to mess you up. Same with the brothers. You're around going with these guys who are going to parties, they hardly pray. Just back up, man. Don't hang around these people. They're not going to benefit you in your life. For sure. Guaranteed, man. And if you're a new Muslim, man, you got a wife, you got kids, treat them as best as you can, man, because people nowadays, they look at Muslims, okay, so-and-so is a terrorist, so-and-so is an extremist, so-and-so is someone who's bad. As Muslims, we have to lead the best example. We have to show other people that, alhamdulillah, this is the best way of life. We have the most patience in this way, and we have the most happiness that we've had in our life in this way, alhamdulillah. So jazakallah khair, brother Talib. It's nice to see you, man, and inshallah we'll be talking again soon.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.